Hey, welcome to DIY Fab Shop. Today we got a fun little project. I am going to fabricate a stand with some casters for this 3-point hitch mounted rototiller. If you've ever dealt with one of these, you know they're kind of big and unwieldy. This thing's kind of a run-of-the-mill rototiller, but it's 700 pounds, and when you set it down, it actually rests on the tines, and which makes it rotate and tippy. And so when you're hooking it up to the tractor, it's a little unwieldy, feels a little dangerous, and quite frankly, I don't want to get smooshed by this thing. The manufacturer provides this little leg meant to help with that stability. Frankly, I'm just going to pull that thing off. It doesn't really do its job. And I think with a simple stand made out of steel, throw on some casters, I'm going to add a support that'll come up to the front to take away the tippiness. And with casters, it'd be really simple to position behind the tractor, attach the 3-point links, and away we go. So if you follow the last video where I did the shop stool design, I spent a lot more time thinking about that design, putting it in CAD, really working out the fine details. This project was much more spontaneous. I basically have an idea of a general frame system, ran the farm and fleet, picked up some angle iron, some casters, and I'm going to design it on the fly. So hopefully it goes okay. I'm absolutely after speed before perfection. In this case, I'm not even sure if I'm going to paint it because I'm anxious to get on to some other projects, but I really wanted to get the stand done before I had to attach it to the tractor again without it. So let's jump in. We're going to get right to it.
So I think the simplest way to figure out the size of the frame is just to throw the metal down here, align it to the side. I'm just going to leave a little bit of a gap for some clearance. And then on the other side, I'll go ahead and mark a spot to cut. And then I'll take that over to the table, put it against the other piece, mark the other piece. So I have my 2 cut marks for these long sides. I'll take to the bandsaw and cut them off. To get the short sides of my rectangular frame, first I put a level on it, get the frame of the rototiller basically level, and then I also placed a square off the front where I want to put my little support arm. So that kind of tells me how long the short sides to be. And then I threw a square on the floor so I can make sure that I'm marking it square before I cut it.
So in order to weld the pieces together to create the rectangular frame that's going to go around the outside, I could just overlap them and weld them together, but I want to have a flat surface for the casters to bolt to when I'm done. So I am going to actually mark where I want to cut away the material on the short sides so that I can have a flat surface when I bring them together. And I'll just cut that out. Okay, now that I've cut the cross cut on the bandsaw, I'm gonna mount this to the table and use my cutoff wheel to take it down to the material thickness. So I have both of my short pieces notched for welding them up to the longer pieces. Even though the longer piece kind of protrudes off the end of my table here, I've fixtured it up, put a square on it, make sure I have it straight. And I will tack it up. All right, now that I've confirmed it's square, I'll weld it up. All right, so now I want to add casters, and with the casters I picked up, they have 4 bolt holes to bolt to the framing, and just based on the size, I needed to get a good capacity. It doesn't fit across the frame, so I am going to add a piece to support the casters all the way across it. And I've marked a couple 45-degree angles on this piece, and I'm going to eyeball center for where the caster will sit. And I kind of like where that's sitting. It's going to be a little bit on the frame, a little bit suspended, and I have plenty of clearance for the bolt heads. So I'm going to zip off the ends of this steel 3/16" steel plate so that I can attach the casters to it and on all 4 corners. So I'm going to cut this, make 3 more just like it, drill some holes, and weld it on for the casters. Okay, so I have made my 4 caster support plates, and I am going to show you tacking one on one corner, and then I'll take care of the rest and we'll come back and do a full weld. All right, I'm going to drill some holes for the casters. Before I do that, I'm going to just take a grinder of this and make sure I have a nice flat surface, get rid of a little bit of weld slag. It doesn't have to be perfect, just gonna eyeball it. And we'll drill some holes. Okay, I got good hole alignment. I'll repeat that for the other three corners. So if you remember, I wanted to have a little shelf that will catch the rototiller and give it some stability so it doesn't want to be tippy. So I took a little bit of my leftover angle and I have marked where center along the long length will be. And then I'll get my height off of the floor that I want this to be in space. And I'm going to cut a couple more pieces of angle and put them on some little pivots so that I can break it down when I'm loading or unloading it and then bring it up for storage. So I'm going to create the little brackets that I'm going to pivot on and cut the verticals and weld it together. All right, let me give you a little tour of what I laid out here before I weld it up. So, as I said, I wanted a rotating arm to come up and capture the front of the rototiller to keep it steady. So I cut some angle iron, drilled a hole in it, drilled a hole in another piece of angle iron as the vertical, and I'm going to weld those angle iron pivots onto the main frame. And then this shelf is what the rototiller frame will sit on. And I am also going to put this little piece in here across the vertical lines and drill a hole through it and a hole through the bottom of the frame and then pin it. So when I lift up the rotating arm, I can then put a pin through and it'll be secure. So that's kind of the work in progress. Just wanted to show that before I weld it up, which is next.
So there was a little bit of slop when I just drilled through the base frame and the swing arm. So I cut a little piece of angle iron, welded that on, and created a hole through that. Now when you go through the 3 different holes, you get much better stability.
All right, so this pin does a good job securing it, but this angle iron piece here is flexing a little bit when I put some pressure on it. Not a big deal, but because I have an extra piece of angle iron, I'm gonna go ahead and weld that onto the bottom of here. Should make it much more rigid and take care of that little bit of flexure there. So that's what I'm gonna do next. All right, as anticipated, adding that additional piece there significantly increased the stability of this little pivot up arm. So I am going to throw the casters on it and we're going to give this thing a try.
time to try it out. I have grabbed my tractor, carefully hoisted up the rototiller, positioned the stand underneath, and I will carefully lower the rototiller onto the stand. Not so graceful, but it worked. With the rototiller securely on the stand, I'm going to take the straps off, turn the tractor around so we can attach the rototiller to the 3-point hitch. Okay, so I'm going to call that success. That was significantly easier to attach the rototiller to the tractor. The ability to kind of move it around on the casters really makes getting the links on easier, and just having the stability so that I'm not worried that that tiller's going to roll over on me made it a much more enjoyable experience. Thanks for joining today. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you again next time on DIY Fab Shop.